Howdy y'all, how's everybody doing today? I am the Cowboy from the Cosmos, here to bring you another Risk video. So, this one's gonna be done in a little bit of a different style than usual. As you can see, currently we are talking after the fact. I'm not playing while talking right now. Trust me, my gameplay isn't that fast. So, this is a match that was like an hour and a half long, that condensed down to about 18 minutes. So it's going at quite a fast speed, but basically I thought it'd be cool to try something different today. So rather than talking while playing the game, y'all will be hearing some music, while also, I talk after the fact. So this was a fixed game on classic map. It's a 6-player game. I am the white player. All of my opponents were novices, beginners, and intermediates. I checked after the match. It should show at the end of the recording. So it's pretty cool. So, I guess I'm going to kind of explain my thought process. So at the start, my auto spawns were pretty garbage. I don't know if you saw that. They still are pretty bad looking at the situation. So I decided to kind of group up my troops. I wanted to get all my troops into one big stack, because in fixed I find that's a really good strategy. If your opponents are smart, they won't just punch your big stack at one point to kill you, and get like 10 troops and lose like 80. But later on we'll see that maybe that isn't exactly the same opinion our opponents have. So it's starting out with 6 people, and I'm just kind of vibing. I'm not doing anything big. I am just kind of seeing what each player does while trying to slowly get that, I think it's a 9? Yeah, it's 9 out of NA. I put up a line to green so that hopefully he doesn't just blast my 9. That was kind of the goal of that. And in that way I reaffirm my alliance with him by leaving NA, but you'll see that afterwards. So teal player goes and captures in early South America. He was the second player to get content after red being the first. However, red is quite far behind from most players in troop count. Me and yellow were the farthest behind, but teal was pulling ahead quite quickly. Green seemed determined to want NA, so fair enough. I was really afraid he was going to pop my 10 stack here of his 28, but he fortunately did not. So I definitely made sure that, okay, I'm going to leave soon. The biggest problem was there was a 4 in my way, and a 3 and a 1, and a bunch of other crap, so by the time I got my 10 out of there, it wouldn't really be a 10 anymore, and would have hardly been worth the effort. So pink is slowly working towards capturing some land. I don't really know why he didn't take a free Africa off the start of the game, but for some reason or another he thought that Africa just wasn't worth it. I decided to take my 20 out of there. Sure, I lost a lot of troops in the process and barely gained anything from that than if I just put my cards on my 10, but it was kind of a way to show green that I'm not as enemy. So it was a great way for us to strengthen the alliance, which is something I want to do for later on. Because in fixed games, especially in the late game, the biggest thing you have to worry about is being the next target. Because usually in order for the game to progress, you have to eliminate whatever player is not needed to the balance of the board, like how pink just eliminated yellow. They weren't needed and they were the weakest player. So you really have to make sure you're not the person that everyone else thinks should be taken out. So I move over my army to Central Europe, and I'm thinking that maybe I can try and capture it. Yellow was the only real contender for Europe up until that point, because for some reason pink didn't take Africa, so I thought it'd work out well. Europe's currently vacated by everyone else, so it seemed to me like it'd be a good idea overall. Teal was slowly at this point taking his claim of Africa, while I was taking Europe, as you can see. So we captured it, we put our 18 in the center, not to threaten anyone, and I threw a bunch of alliance requests. That way I could hopefully not get broken immediately. I was kind of afraid red was going to break me, but then he didn't. And he had a very odd strategy at this point in the match, where he was trying to consume land, so he was kind of splitting up his armies so that he wouldn't get any of his stuff taken away. which was a very, very strange strategy in my opinion. I didn't really see the point to that, but he did it. So now we're just currently kind of watching and waiting to see what happens. Red kind of breaks Teal. Teal gets a little annoyed about it. Teal decides to break me and then breaks into green, because if you could see, they were stacking up troops on each other's border. So that was kind of weird. So green goes ahead, puts stuff on his barrier. He decides to leave it there, which was a smart idea, I think. It wasn't a threat towards me, I could tell. He was doing it because he didn't want Teal to do the same thing he just did to me. So it was a smart play overall. Teal just kind of sits there. He struggles back for Africa and keeps stacking up on green's borders. Now red had a very interesting strategy this game. They were very trying to manipulate the board. So what they did, which I think they didn't like it, but they punched out a lot of territories, and they broke my 2. And I think they did that so that I wouldn't have any takes that wasn't on green or teal. Because I think he eventually wanted to get to the point where he could force me to do things, right? So he was trying to force me to attack green, because I guess he could tell we had an alliance going. Of course I was like, no, I'm not going to attack green. It's fucking stupid. I was debating attacking the 5 there, because I thought to myself that if I could take the 5, then I could kind of halt his progress a bit, but I didn't want to piss him off either, and I thought that that would send him into a blind rage. So I decided to just go and attack down to the 15. The reason I wasn't wanting to do that in the first place is because I was afraid of unblocking his army, but he just blocked it back anyway, so it didn't really matter. And Teal ended up breaking through Europe and then put his big army in Europe and put a sizable army in NA. So I think green just kind of chilled that thing. He went and took South America for himself, and he fortified onto his border so we could see what happens. Red's now slowly making a bid for Africa, while Pink has been chilling the rest of the game since they killed yellow. They've just really been getting cards each turn and not doing anything big. Teal once again broke green, but then obviously Pink does their things. I trade in, I get my easy takes, and green fortifies their barriers. And with that, now they have South America. Red goes for the ambitious claim on Africa and Australia. And me and the green player were kind of like, we can't let that happen. That would be stupid to allow him hold both of those continents. Nobody else has that power. Because if you look at the side there, red had the most troops out of everybody. But red also was holding 2 continents. So not only was he the strongest player, but he also was the, what's it called? He was holding the most continents. So we couldn't allow that. So me and green were just kind of working together to break off his continent each turn. So I decided, since I broke it the first time, it was time for green to live up to his commitment. Meanwhile, Pink's just getting stronger off in the corner. So I retake my Europe, and he decides to block Africa, meaning red couldn't retake it now, which would be really cool. So that works out well. Green was actually a really good ally this game, and then what red did here, which is really strange, is he brought all of his army out of Australia, and then was kind of like squaring up to green. And I don't really know why I did that. So I decided to take Australia, considering that I wasn't getting any of Europe. So I put my big army on Siam. Green just kind of broke teal and desperately tried to stay alive. I was checking red stats here to see if he'd suicide on green, and didn't look like he would be a player who would, but there you go. That's what I was talking about by people smashing in the big stacks for low rewards, is that red did that, and I don't really know why. That was kind of a stupid move, but whatever. Now, He's just lucky nobody else tried to knock him out. And Pink's strategy the whole game was to be super passive, which worked out quite well for a while. So I definitely get why he was doing that, but I was just kind of pulling my troops out of Australia now to keep them in the Siam. Red's fortifying all their borders, keeping himself in the game. I had Pink as my ally. I did not have Teal, so I was hoping they could get Pink to attack Red, but considering their passive nature, I kind of was thinking they wouldn't. Alright, so now we're just looking at Teal, who is simply just chilling around the board. They're trying to take North America slowly. Pink is starting to slowly take their claim on... I can't remember. Europe, there we go. So they're slowly working away getting Europe. I don't think they wanted to immediately because they didn't want to piss off Teal, but then Teal pulled out, and that's when Pink decided to go for it. So I was just kind of getting random takes, building up my forces again. Currently I was in the middle of the pack with Teal up ahead, me and Red basically one troop off from being in last. But Red was going to pass me soon anyway. I wasn't trying to be the strongest at this time. I was just trying to kind of hang out, do my own thing. Let the cards and the other players wear each other down enough where I'd be the strongest over that. So right now we see Pink, who is, still making their very slow bid for Europe. I would have tried to broke Red sooner, but the biggest problem with that was that I'd lose a bunch of troops for it, and I wouldn't be able to keep breaking him because he just had way too much troops, and I didn't feel like getting suicided on. So I was hoping for the sake of the board balance that both Teal and Pink would hurry up grabbing their stuff. So Pink went and grabbed Europe there. Very cool. And I brought Red to a state of sort of card lock. And the reason I did this is I really wanted him to break Pink. He clearly didn't want to do that, and he was quite mad. So he brought his big army there. So, me kind of remembering what he did last time, I moved my army away. But Teal here took the advantage and took all of South America and broke both of Red's continents, which I find pretty cool, to be honest. Pink is still being super passive, just doing their thing. So I brought everything into a 91 stack. And Red matched in and did all that damage to Teal, and then he switched targets onto Teal. So I was like, okay, this guy's just clearly trying to piss everybody off. Red was a very hot-headed player, and he actually left the game shortly after stacking up on Teal here. He kept popping in and out, it was kind of weird, and then after a while he just stopped popping in. I don't know if it happens yet, but I decided to break Pink, because Pink was claimed to be the strongest player on the board, and I didn't like that. Now if you look at our troop counters right now, I am actually in the top position, which obviously is really good, but my army's blocked in. So Red kind of goes psycho and just murks the shit out of Green. Green does a tiny little match in, but it's unfortunately probably not enough to save him, and Pink knocks him out of the game. So now we have this AI that has 2 continents, and that's about it. And yeah, then we have me and Pink. So Pink, I guess, kind of chills out. They go back to Europe. So I decided to break into Red stuff. And now I was kind of debating what I need to do. So it's still the Red player, by the way, but it won't be the Red player for very long. I don't remember the exact part where they bought out, but they do. So I try to break some of their continents, play a little annoyance role. And I think this is the turn where he actually bought it out. Yep, so he just bought it out now, and that's when it becomes a war between me and Pink. Because the AI should be easy to kill, alright? So, I decide to kind of stack up outside of my territory, because Australia matters not anymore. I need to make some moves on Pink. Red, as you can see though, is actually getting pretty powerful quite quickly because of their continent hold. Now, I should say before my turn happens here, on attack, when it comes to big stacks, bounce blitz heavily favors the attackers. So I was going to knock Pink out of the game in one turn, but just decided to kill them. Or like, basically kill them. So even though I had like 20 less troops than his 140 stack, the reason I won with some troops remaining was because of bounce blitz favoring attackers on big stacks. However, as you can see, Red was getting quite powerful, and I couldn't actually do anything about that. And so we got into this very tough situation where the AI got so strong that I was thinking to myself, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So the AI kills Pink, which was kind of the hope. This isn't a ranked game, by the way, so it wasn't like this player gets rewarded massively for plotting out his AI winning. But obviously I was just building troops in Australia and then decided to punch across the map. And my strategy was I can just keep punching and just whittle down the AI eventually, right? But, well, I don't quite have enough troops to do that. So, it's looking pretty dire, but I have a card match, so it's gonna come in clutch here. So we get a big boost to troops, we start knocking out bonuses left and right. We don't unlock his 12 army, we go knock up most of the NA, and we set ourselves up for a take next turn on their 1. The goal was just constantly pumping out cards would let me win. So then I had to break Europe, put my 6 there. But then there I finally breaks my Australia. And I had a match on 3. So I went for the last desperation play I could, breaking out all their continents, but as you can see from them having 141 and me having 13, there was nothing I could do. Yep, so I eventually got overwhelmed by the AI and lost. And that's one of the very few games I've ever lost to an AI. So, I'd like to say, Mr. Red player, if you knew your AI was going to win, congrats, but you didn't win the game. Your AI did. So, these were the levels of my opponents. I hope you all enjoyed this video a bit. It's a bit of a different style, but thank you all for watching. And until next time, peace out, everyone.